All right, shalom to the elect of Israel. I want to start by giving all the praises, honor, and glory. I want to start by giving all the praises, honor, and glory to whom it rightfully belongs, which is Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Makapadash. All right. And what I said was all the praises, honor, and glory belongs to Yahweh, who is the Heavenly Father, in the name of his Son, Yahweh Shai, who was the Messiah, in the name of the Holy Spirit, which in Hebrew is Rachakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that were well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect. And this lesson is going into, you know, basically, right? Because I was on the job today, and I heard this older man, say he wasn't at the plantation, he was out, it was outside, somewhat. Basically, however, this older guy, he wasn't, working what I was doing, right? But basically, he was on the phone with someone, right? And he was talking about, basically he said, if nuclear, because he was talking about, I guess he's been watching the things going on in the world. So he basically said, if and I stood there to listen, to see what he was saying, but he was like, he basically said, he was talking about nuclear weapons. He said, if nuclear, either said nuclear weapons or nuclear technology, but either way, even if he didn't say, he was talking about nukes. All right, he basically said if nukes are used, then that's going to be Slakia. He said I believe he heard someone say, and he was repeating it. I guess he heard a quote from somebody or something. Say if nuclear technology is used, then that's going to be the end of intelligent life. you know, and so he was kind of like almost somewhat freaking out. You could tell by tone of his voice a little bit, you know. And I was just sitting there like, damn. I was just sitting there like, man, he just don't even know. All right. Now I just wanted, I wanted to go into it and dissect this. There's a lot to unpack from that, man. All right, but I ain't gonna go, too in depth and all that. All right, but it reminds me of this quote right here. Okay, it says here, it says the quote, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds," is a famous paraphrase of a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. All right, it says it was uttered by um. So it says here the Bhagavad Gita. Uh, I guess that's like a Hindu book or whatever. I'm not too familiar with it, but it was a quote. It says here, it says where this person named Krishna, a central figure in Hindu scriptures, all right, manifests his visual root, cosmic form before art. Some heathen belief, but either way, the quote, right, that was said, the quote, "Now I become death, the destroyer of worlds," right? It says it was uttered by Robert Oppenheimer after witnessing the first nuclear explosion, the Trinity test, in 1945. The quote expresses a profound sense of awe and responsibility, acknowledging the immense power of the atomic bomb and its potential for destruction. Okay. Now it says here Oppenheimer's reflection. Oppenheimer, the head of the Manhattan Project, was deeply moved by the power of the weapon he had helped create. He felt a sense of both responsibility and awe, recognizing the potential for immense destruction that the atomic bomb represented. All right, you know, and let me just look up something real quick, right? What was I gonna look up? Was I gonna look something up? All right. Anyways, you know, but a thought came to mind is that Esau, man, is you know Esau, basically so like this was scripture I was going to look up. Okay, why do you have Hashem Yahushua? Bringing it back to my remembrance. Isaiah 54:16. All right. And it says, "Behold, I've created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I've created the waster to destroy." Okay. Block you for the background noise and all that. But basically, the Lord put it in the minds of these Edomite scientists to create this nuclear technology. All right. So he, you know, so so the Lord basically was, working all of these things out when all these things was coming to pass, man. All right. Building a nuclear missile and all of that, all of these things. All right. It's the Lord's will. Okay. Because of the scripture. 1 second, because this computer moving slow. All right. Well, it's the Wi-Fi connection. All right. This is the book of Isaiah 13 and 5. It says, they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even Yahweh, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. See, the weapons of the Lord's indignation. This is the nuclear missiles. Okay, so they're his weapons, man, that he's going to use to destroy the whole land of America. All right, as it says here. All right, you know, and so the Lord had it, all these things being built up. All right, so this is the book, and it's gonna go, and then and the nuclear missiles are going to be shot off on the day of the Lord, officially. Joel 2:1, it says, blow ye the trumpet of Zion and sound an alarm on my holy mountain. At all, in which that's what the, talking what the apostles and elders of Great Millstone are doing, and the like-minded brothers under them, out there on the highways, street corners, warning the people, telling them that destruction is coming. See, the Lord sent his prophets out before these things take place, but soon, real soon, all right, Lord willing, this year, he's gonna seal them up. He got Bates. Basically, he's gonna the family of the word. He's gonna have them stop teaching, stop prophesying, stop going out there, and then chaos is gonna break out. Okay. So the Lord gave Jake fair warning. All right, but it says, let all the inhabitants. Okay, so the day of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua is coming, man. And that day is when the nuclear, as Apostle Gabar said, I'm never going to forget the fact he said this, Lord willing. He said the day of the Lord is when those nuclear missiles are shot off and the chariots return. Roughly paraphrasing his words. I don't know if that's the exact words he used, but that's basically what he said. All right. And the day of the Lord is when those nukes are shot off and the chariots return. Okay, the chariots come. That's when in your house shot the chariots come. That is the day of the Lord. It's all gonna happen on that one day. All right, and it says it is nigh at hand, it's near. A day of darkness and gloominess, and of gloominess a day of clouds and of thick darkness. As the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong, there hath not been ever the like. And when it says a great people and a strong, it's talking about the missiles. It's not talking about literal people. All right. You know, because in Revelation 9, which I'll get in a minute, Lord willing, let me just cue it up real quick so it could be loading in case this takes long. Okay. All right. So it's fast right there. So, but it's talking about the nuclear missiles. All right. You know, it gives, it go precept upon precept, right? And it gives you know, it's basically like a comparison, but because the scriptures sometimes talk poetically. Okay. So, you gotta just gotta have the correct understanding on it. All right, but it's talking about the nuclear missiles. It says there has not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. Right. As Apostle Hart was saying when he was breaking this chapter down, is that the nuclear missiles, they're gonna be made to be used one time, and after that, never again. Okay. You know? In Revelation 9, it talks about them. I'm gonna start at verse 16. Verse 9 and 16, it says, and the number of the army of the horsemen were 200,000, and I heard the number of them. All right. And it's not literal horsemen that's going to jump out of somewhere. It's talking about nuclear warheads, because the warhead of the nuclear missiles is what does the damage. So 200 million nukes are going to be shot on America. All right. Verse 17, 200 million warheads. All right. Because 200,000, that do 200,000, right? 1,000 is, a number, comma, three zeros, right? So you got the number 200, then you put three zeros behind that, you have 200,000. Then when you put another three zeros behind that, what is that? That's 200 million. All right. 200,000, which is in other words, 200 million. Okay. Verse 17, and thus I saw the horses in a vision, and them that sat on them having breastplates of fire and of jacinth and brimstone, and the heads of the horses were as the heads of lions, and out of their mouths issued fire and smoke and brimstone. Okay. The nuclear warheads. All right. Verse 3. It's like verse 18. By these three was the third part Esau, because you got the three parts of man, it's like the three sons of God, Israelites, sons of men, heathen nations, and the sons of the wicked is Esau. Okay. So the third part being Esau says, by these three was a third part of men killed by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issued out of their mouths. Right? For their power is in their mouth and in their tails. Right? And that's the delivery system on the missile, the back of it basically. It says, for their tails were like unto serpents. It had heads, right? And with them they do hurt, the nuclear warheads. Look it up. Just look up that what a nuclear warhead does. All right. But nuclear missiles, as we read in verse 2 here in Joel 2, basically they're going to be made, they're being made to be used one time, and after that, never again. Okay. Bear with me 1 second. All right. Verse 3. It says, a fire devoured before them. And let me just get this, because as the dude was saying, um, he was saying how that a nuclear missile, they said if it's used, it's going to be the end of intelligent life. And then basically what I'm believing he means by that, right? Because it took a minute to me think, like, what's he talking about intelligent life? Right? Um, basically, talking about like mankind, you know, intelligence, meaning, basically we got, we could do, just what we do as people. All right, that the natural things we do as people, All right, he's basically saying, it's going to be in the end of intelligent life, which is not true. Okay, but the nukes are going to do a lot of damage. All right, but let me get this. This is meaning and action and interpretation. A quote can be interpreted in several ways. All right. Um, hold on. Because basically, look, what can a nuke destroy? It says a nuclear explosion can cause widespread destruction through blast effects, heat, and radiation. Structures like wooden and brick buildings are vulnerable to significant damage from the pressure waves created by the explosion. Additionally, the intense heat can cause fires, and the radiation can have severe health effects and contaminate the environment. All right. Blast effects. The primary destructive force of a nuclear explosion is the pressure wave it creates. I'm going to read that again. Blast effects. The primary, meaning the main destructive force of the main thing that the main the main component that the main component that is destructive, that destroys. It says of a nuclear explosion. That so basically the main thing that destroys from a nuclear explosion, it says, is the pressure wave it creates. Buildings, unless reinforced or blast resistant, can be severely damaged or destroyed by this overpressure. Even relatively low pressures can cause moderate damage to most buildings. It says the intense heat generated by a nuclear explosion can ignite fires and cause widespread destruction through firestorms. Because I mean, it's without saying, fire is gonna come. Hey, Zechariah 14:12. In that day of the Lord, all right, the you know, it's going to people are gonna burn on that day. All right. Just hope it's not me, man. Or none of the brothers. It says radiation. Nuclear explosions release large amounts of radiation, which can be lethal to humans and animals and can also contaminate the environment, making it unsafe for extended periods. Electromagnetic pulse (EMP). Some nuclear explosions can also generate a strong EMP, which can disrupt or okay. So you get the idea. All right, you get the idea. Back here. Joel 2 and so basically I was trying to see if it would say anything, but a nuke can destroy um basically everything you see around you, the community you live in, towns, cities, all of that. All right. So but it's not going to be the end of mankind though when it's set off. You see, this is the look, man. The Lord is the one that's in control, okay? And and the nuclear missiles ain't the full movie. All right. It's not going to destroy the whole world. It's going to shake the world. It's not going to destroy the whole world, though. All right. And new places are new. The land is going to change. The earth is going. The map and everything is going to change. New new lands are going to arise and all that. Yeah, it's going to be different afterwards. But back in Joel 2 and 3 now, says a fire devours before them, talking about the warhead on the front of the missile, and behind them a flame burneth, which is the back of the missile. It says the land, America, is a day before it hits. It says, and behind them, after they hit, a desolate wilderness. This is going to leave. America is going to be turned into a whole wilderness. It says, yea, and nothing shall escape them. See? The no roamers, nobody left behind. Here this you standing on the map. If you stand on the shores of America, you're gonna be destroyed when this time comes, right? Verse 4, the appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. So you see, it's not literal. Okay. It says as, all right. It's not literal horsemen. You see, in Revelation 9, likened them to horsemen too, but likened them. Verse 5, like the noise of chariots on the top of mountains shall they leap. You see? Like when they had that blast off noise, that psh, up in the air, you know? Which you can look on YouTube and find that. I said, shall they leap? Talking about the leap, meaning what? Like a jump, As Pastor Howard was describing, it goes up and they're going to come back down. When you jump, you go up and come back down. So they're going to leap. They're going to climb that altitude. All right? Let me look at that word leap. Required. Okay, required says, see, it says dance, skip, leap, jump. All right? A jump. Even when you skipping, you jumping. All right? They're going to climb altitude and come back down. All right? But the thing is, it's not going to be the end of intelligent life, though. It's not going to be the end of mankind. Even here, Revelation 9, it says here, after all of this, right, it says, verse 20, and the rest of the men which were not killed by these plagues, yet repented not of the works of their hands, that they should not worship devils and idols of gold and silver and brass and stone and of wood, which neither can see nor hear nor walk. Neither repented they of their murders, nor their sorceries, nor their fornication, nor their thefts. All right. So it's still good. But this I'm reading this to show you that it's still gonna be people alive even after the missiles hit, man. Okay, it's still gonna be people alive even afterwards. Even in the previous chapter, it talks about the contamination of the waters and everything. Revelation chapter 8, Salakia. Sorry for the background noise. Anyways, Revelation chapter 8, starting at verse 10, says, "And the third angel sounded, and there fell a great star from heaven," which is talking about a nuclear missile. So it's burning as it were a lamp, nuclear missile, and it fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of waters. All right. Verse 11. And the third part, once again, Esau, but centering around America. All right. Bear with me 1 second. All right. Now, verse 11 says, "And the name of the star is called Wormwood." All right. Look at this word wormwood here. Okay. Absinthion. Right. Or absinthos.
Strong's G894. Absinthion. Absinthion.
Absinthion. All right, but it says wormwood says the name of a star which fell into the waters and made them bitter. All right. So it goes, it says bitter, but basically, all right, because what is a nuclear missile going to do? Let me just see something. What is nuclear fallout? This nuclear fallout refers to the radioactive dust and debris that are propelled into the atmosphere after a nuclear explosion and then descend back to Earth. This material is a form of radioactive what? Contamination. All right, it says it can cause significant health and environmental impacts. Is what it is. Nuclear fallout consists of radioactive particles that are created when a nuclear weapon explodes. All right. So basically, in other words, so let me just read it. It says these particles can be anything from microscopic debris to larger pieces of soil and rock that have been vaporized and then condensed. How it's formed. Lift a huge amount of material into the air. This material mixes with radioactive fission products and other radioactive materials from the explosion itself. All right. Let me just see. I think that's not what I'm thinking right before. All right. Let me just see if they got a simple example. All right. Bear with me just 1 second. All right. So basically, it says immediately following an above ground nuclear explosion, debris and soil can mix with radionuclides. This mixture is sent up into the air and then falls back to Earth. It is called fallout and typically contains hundreds of different radionuclides. So basically, it's this debris and soil, right, from a nuclear destruction that went up into the air, from a nuclear explosion that went up into the air and fall back down to the earth. So when the nukes hit, okay, it's gonna fall back, it's gonna hit, the stuff is gonna go up in the air and it's gonna fall back into the waters. You see, and that's all gonna spread and it's gonna what? Contaminate the waters. And guess what? It says, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter, because they're gonna be drinking, trying to drink the waters and everything. Right? We have people drink of it and they're gonna die off of it. All right. But see, the point is, even after the nuclear destruction, see, people still gonna be alive. This is prophecy. Even after the nuclear destruction, you're still gonna have people alive. All right. People are going to be alive, man. All right. So it's not the end, not the end of every meaning. When I say not the end, meaning Salaki, meaning that it's not going to be the end of mankind. All right. So you got to get that idea out of your head that everybody going to die, because no, they're not. The elect ain't. They're gonna be in the chariot watching all the destruction. Okay. Where do you think the elect gonna be at when the nuclear destruction happens? They're gonna be in a chariot with Yahweh Shai, all right, meet with the brothers, looking, the new corruptible bodies and all of that. They're gonna be good. Okay. They're gonna be up above the firmament. But this Revelation 18, starting in verse 9, right? It says, lament for Babylon and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, with America, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, America, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come, right? So I'm going to take the Lord 1 hour, 3,600 seconds to destroy America, okay? And but the point I want to get says standing afar off, right? So they're going to, and then it said, when they shall see the smoke of a burning, how they going to see it? How they was standing afar off, meaning what? It's going to be televised. The destruction is going to be televised, okay? They're going to see it, all right? That's how they're going to see, through the satellites and all that, okay? You know? So, hey, and the elites and everything, they're going to be running to the underground bunkers. I want to get this too. You have them, here, Revelation 6, towards the bottom. Revelation 6, and starting verse 15. And the kings of the earth and the great men and the rich men and the chief captains and the mighty men and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is coming, who shall be able to stand? And it's coming. As we read, it's not. All right, only the elect is going to be able to stand in that day. All right. So but it's definitely going to be a destructive day. Okay. And as we read here, Isaiah 24 and 20, says the earth shall reel, meaning, which the Hebrew word for reel is nawai, meaning to shake. Earth shall shake to and fro like a drunkard, shall reel, meaning shake to and fro like a drunkard. You ever see the drunk person staggering back? Shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. Let me see if I get this in the apocrypha real quick. Second Ezra chapter 16, starting at verse 12. The earth quaketh. We all know what the earthquake is, right? And the foundations thereof, the sea ariseth up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord, and before the glory of his power. Why? For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow, which is what? The nuclear silo. That is, all right. When you think of a bow and arrow, a bow is what the arrow, which is the destructive instrument, sits in, right? A nuclear missile sits in what? A nuclear silo. As his arrows, which is a nuclear missile, that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the end of the world. Hence the term intercontinental, which means across continents, ballistic missile. Okay? So this is what's coming. And this is the thing, man. Look, Esau, we say Yahushua was Isaac, right? He gave Esau bless, he gave Esau the basically he gave, and it was set up by the Lord for it to happen, right? But he gave basically Esau's blessing is going to destroy him. Okay, a main part of Esau's blessing is going to destroy him. Genesis chapter 20. Okay, Esau was blessed with the sword. That's why I see him with all different types of weaponry, guns, all of that. He's real good at it. He has a lot of it. That's why you always see him around weaponry. Okay, guns, helicopters, robotic killing dogs, drones, all right, etc. Tanks, all that. Okay, even missiles. You see. They live by the sword, but see, the end is gonna come by way of the sword too. This is the book of Second Esdras, chapter 7, verse 43. But the day of doom, World War III, which is in the midst of World War III, all right, America's going to be destroyed. And that is the day of doom, all right, which is also the day of the Lord. But the day of doom shall be the end of this time. See? So that's going to be during that is going to be the end of Esau's rulership. It's going to be the end that when that day comes, that's going to be the end of his rulership, man. It's going to be over with. And the beginning of the immortality for the come, the kingdom wherein corruption is past. See? So it's going to be the end for Esau, man. When that time comes, it's going to be the end. It's going to be the end, finally. Okay? And Jacob's world is going to begin. We get the Second Peter chapter 3 and verse 10. It says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, which is the explosions of the nuclear missiles, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. So elements, everything that we see around us is made out of elements. So all of that's going to melt by way of nuclear fire. The earth also and the works that are therein shall be burned up. Okay. So yeah, this is what's coming. All right. And the thing is, the elect. All right, and this nuclear destruction that's coming is going to be known as the second death. Okay, that's what that is. The second death, man. It's the book of Isaiah 26 to 20, because the elect is not going to taste of it. Isaiah 26 to 20, they're going to get beamed up. Yeah, because Yahweh Shai is going to be back and he's going to beam up his elect in this day. It says, come, my people, enter thou into thy chamber, which is the chariots, the so-called UFOs, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself as it were for a little moment until the indignation be overpassed, which is the nuclear destruction. See? So, you brothers just hold on to what you got. Hold on to this faith to the very, very, very end. All the way to the end, even if it's your last breath. Hold on to this faith. Revelation 2 and 11. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He that overcometh, and he endure to the end, shall not be hurt of the second death, which is a nuclear destruction. See? So hold on to what you got, man. All right? Because this second death is coming. Right? But if we have the elect, man, we up out of here real soon. Real. Yahweh Shai don't even know. Nor the angels, no man, only Yahweh knows. So when Yahweh gives Yahweh Shai that green light to return, he's gonna be on it. He's gonna be on it. But Yahweh Shai does know he's coming back soon. Okay. So yeah, man. That was pretty much it. Something I heard at while working today. So figure I'd make a lesson on it. All right. But yeah, man, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the elect of Israel, giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh. Giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash. That will honor the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, ever well. Peace, blessings, and salutations to the elect. Shalom to the elect.